Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Episode. Today I got a fun and random episode guys this evening because I am playing Cash Cow DX, a total love letter to arcades in the late 80s and early 90s. Has a lot of mappy themes going on and it's got like an 8 to 16 bit aesthetic landing somewhere in between. Now this game is not out yet, it comes out on February 16th and I received an unsolicited email with a Steam download code to this game. Now I usually get like 40 to 50 of those a month and I almost never make videos on them, either because the genre is not that interesting to me or it's just not a game that I gravitate towards. I mostly just give them away to friends. But I opened up the email and saw some screenshots and I saw a cow and I figured this looks charming enough, let me give it a go. Because I grew up in Vermont where cows still outnumber human beings like 2 to 1. If they started a war we would definitely lose. And now I have played like 2.5 to 3 hours of Cash Cow DX and I will say what is here is absolutely a ton of fun. It is such a simple premise. Run around the screen, make sure you don't get hit by enemies, and get all of the money within 3 lives. I guess it's technically Mooney. No, not Paul Mooney the comedian, more like the money cows spend. And honestly, the premise being so simple is where the charm in this game truly lies, because it can be maddeningly difficult in all of the fun arcade ways. Touch an enemy, you take a death. Touch spikes, you take a death. You get 3 lives to beat the game and then you start from the beginning. It is very easy to beat this game if you know exactly what you're doing. You can probably run through the whole thing in about 10 minutes. But it's the learning process and the overall difficulty in navigating the levels that actually makes this just a ton of fun. And I'm a huge fan of Mappy as well, so I figured if this game makes me think of that, then it must be doing something right. You'll see there we got 100% of the money and we move on to the next stage. And I absolutely love the pixel art aesthetic on this as well. I left the bezels on just so you can see what it looks like on a modern display, but you can totally turn those off and do CRT filters as well, which I'll show you in a bit. But this is just the type of game that you sit down and think you're going to play 5 minutes on, and then suddenly 2-3 hours have gone by, you're only at level 3, and you keep continuing over and over again to try to beat a level. It gets its hooks into you, it makes you want to see the ending, and it mostly makes you want to improve, because there's basically a perfect path through each level. Once you learn where you're going, where the enemies are, and navigate around, you can get extremely good extremely quick. And when a level starts, it seems to be on a global timer, so if you learn the enemy patterns, you learn how to navigate with your cow, and you understand all of the different platforms and jumps that you can do in a level, you can basically run this with immunity. But it's that learning process that makes it so fun. You'll see here I finally took my first death and I have to do a continue, put my initials in, and we'll move on with more fun. But that's what I love about this. Just like a bullet hell shmup, you need to learn patterns, you need to understand where in the level is safe and where is dangerous, and that's going to get you better at the actual game. Now obviously this shares no mechanics in nature with a bullet hell shmup, but it does give me the same sense of feedback when I actually learn the levels and get better at the game, knowing that I am getting better and beating it on its own rules. And that's why this is just so much fun. But again, if you know me and know the channel, you know I love arcade games. I am a huge collector of arcade boards. I play a lot of them on MiSTer FPGA. So something that reminds me of some of my favorite arcade games of all time is definitely going to be a must play. And just so you guys are aware, I don't get anything for doing this video. I got to play Cash Cow DX for free. You get to watch me do it. And the person that made this is getting some promotion, but there's nothing exchanging hands. That's not really how I do things. And like I said, normally I don't even cover these Steam codes I get. But again, I just love these love letters to old arcade games. We get so many retro games that are kind of approximating NES, Super Nintendo, those home console style of games, but we don't get many retro games that are basically trying to wear the arcade as a love letter on their sleeve. And that's why this just 100% does it for me. This is the type of genre that I would love to see more people make games in. These quick pick up and play titles that almost feel like phone games, except they're much better because they're on PC. I started this on an Xbox One controller and I moved over to a full arcade stick because the responsiveness of having actual arcade controls just makes Cash Cow DX feel 1, that much more like an arcade game, and 2, that much easier to control, because I was absolutely throttling the arcade stick left and right to try to avoid enemies, because when you're on a full run, you have very little time to actually react to where the enemies are, and that is where the fun is, that quick reaction time, the reflexes needed to pivot at a dime and be able to survive. They're all arcade staples as far as controls are concerned, and that is why this game is just a ton of fun. And it does have some slight Donkey Kong vibes as well, or at least that's what I'm seeing, because I get a little pickaxe here, and that is how you can attack your enemies. Just like Pac-Man with the power pellets, you have a certain amount of time to destroy them, and then they're going to be right back on the hunt for you. But it wouldn't be an arcade game without an awesome arcade soundtrack, and Cash Cow DX has some great music as well. Go ahead and listen just for like 30 seconds and I'll be back and tell you more about the game. This is a super fun, effective soundtrack, and it makes you smile when you're listening to it. And you can see here as we move on to the next level, the mechanics start getting deeper because now we have minecarts so we can stand on and move left and right and use to speed ourselves up. But now you need to learn a new move mechanic completely, which are the minecarts. It takes a minute to understand it, but that's where the fun is, that full learning experience. Like I said earlier, you can turn on the different scales and bezels, you can do scan lines on or off, and I do like that the scan lines also give the screen a slight warping mechanic, just like you would see on non-flat screen CRTs. I don't know that I would leave this on all the time. I do like screen filters, I think this is one of the better ones that are done, but the great part is you get the option, and by default the screen filters are not on. I know it's a small thing, but I love it when they don't insist on you using the filters first. They give you the opportunity to decide what you want to do. But that's basically Cash Cow DX. It is such a simple game, but I can assure you if you open this up on your next game night with friends, hand them a controller, you're going to be yelling, screaming, laughing, and having a great time. And the fifth area does have a boss battle as well, so there is a little bit of a deeper mechanic here every once in a while than your standard arcade game. And you're going to see in the fifth level we have zip lines as well that are definitely going to throw you into the spikes if you don't jump at the right time. But again, it's all about learning the levels and getting a mastery of them, and that's what I really like about a good arcade game. It sucks you in because the gameplay elements are super easy, but then you realize that you have to be near to perfect to actually complete the game, and that's exactly what you get here, because you'll see I quickly restart and jump right back in. But I do just appreciate these type of games, and I hope to see more of them in the future. But you'll see here, this boss battle, you think you can hit him, but you actually have to collect all of the money before you're able to actually do it. And I love all the bright, vibrant colors, the neons, the pinks, the greens, the yellows, the blues. This is the type of aesthetic that just works for me, and I think works really well for the game. And in some ways, it has a little bit of a Euro PC vibe as well, but tell me what it reminds you of down in the comments. And you'll see here as I'm running around more, I finally got another pickaxe and I'm able to take out some enemies, but they are going to revive themselves, so it really is just a very quick mechanic. But when you get like 50 to 60% of all the money in the level, that's where the real action starts. You need to now go back to where you came from and figure out how to get to the other areas, because you'll see here the zipline goes both ways, and we needed to use it in the opposite direction to be able to get down to any of this money down here. There are certain areas in the floor that you can fall through with immunity. There's pipes you can take from one end of the level to the other. You need to figure out what's safe and what's not. You need to get all of that cow cash before the game ends or you die. And that's just a ton of fun. You'll see here I finally got 100%, and now I get to go into the boss battle. And it is a very hard battle indeed. There's these 4 speakers that we need to destroy with the pickaxe, and I jumped on that zip line too early. But that's the thing about Cash Cow DX. You know when you made a mistake, you know it's your fault. The game's never unfair. You just weren't paying attention to the pattern close enough. And this is basically towards the end controlled chaos. There's something going on every single inch of the screen, and this is officially the first time one of these emails has gotten me. I receive a ton of these Steam download codes in my email asking me to review a new game, and I've never actually done it until Cash Cow DX, and that's just because it hit all the buttons that I need to be hit when I want to play a fun new arcade game. So definitely check Cash Cow out when it comes out. It's on the 16th. I have no idea how much it's going to cost, probably $10, and you can spend your money a lot worse ways. Bye bye.